Hello again, and yes, we are back again. And today, this week's topic is, could be all put together and called Dog World. It's a theory of this concept I've talked before, and I've touched on a couple of things, and it's sort of this idea of, if we all woke up today and we all lost our memory, yeah, and we looked over at dogs and we didn't realize that they'd actually been, made and bred by humans, would we actually realize that they're not just natural, occurring animals that have occurred in nature? And how much of the world have we actually made as people, and how much of history has been lost, right? And today, the topic we're talking about is satyrs. You might have seen them in what's the one? The lion weirdo in the cardboard box or whatever, yeah, that thing. Mr. Tumnus, yeah, with his little hoovy, yep, his clippity clops and his scarf, yeah. And you might have seen him in some like art paintings and stuff like this. They've got the little thorn like horns and stuff and strange beards, and they've got legs of a ram like the devil. Now, what I'm saying here is, yeah, what if monkeys aren't a predecessor of humans, pre-ancestor? The we haven't actually come from monkeys, and we've actually come from satyrs. Because I often think it's quite interesting that we, as humans, are the only people who have thumbs, really, apart from monkeys and like raccoons and things like this. There's very few animals with thumbs, and a lot of other animals seem to have strange little feet, and we have and hooves, and we're the only seems animals that seem to need shoes and stuff like this. But we also seem to be very much in control. So I like to think potentially that maybe we actually come from a different animal, which is more closer to a horse, if anything. And that's pretty much it, really. Like, yeah, and even uh, gender has actually been revered and cultivated either through social application, through the fact that like men and women do different roles in society, and we've actually sort of escalated those sort of aspects of ourselves, or if we potentially were split into male and female for particular reasons. And also this idea of eternal life and not immortality, because I don't know, is immortality means you can't be killed, but this idea of at least everlasting life, right? Um, and age and stuff, and dying and these sorts of things. Lots of creatures, as we said before, didn't actually die. So maybe the fact that we do actually die in age and stuff is actually a, a after effect, or a what's it called? Like a bad point, like a genetic malfunction that we've grown over the years. And before, if we were these sacred beings, maybe we could have lived a lot longer lives, um, and had all these different things. And maybe even the satyrs, I don't know, but it just does sound pretty crazy, doesn't it? It sounds proper mad. Um, but yeah, it definitely would tie into this idea of like Baphomet, because when you see Baphomet, he's an androgynous, he's got tits and stuff, and he's like hermaphroditic, sort of hoovy sort of person. And I don't know. I do feel like there could necessarily be an aspect of that, and maybe in a time before there, we could have been these creatures, and life was different. And actually, we've grown accustomed, and we've actually changed to become this sort of greater force and this greater being of this human consciousness. And I honestly do think there's more to you make a lot more process and development by actually actively influencing something than you do observing it and trying to see it work itself out for itself. Like active engagement creates something because you have a goal in mind. And I think that potentially evolution isn't necessarily impossible, but it's definitely not as linear as we think it is. And there's a lot more options and avenues and routes in which life can evolve and change, and ways as well. And I also think de-evolution is a lot easier than evolution. So this fact that monkeys, people say that our humans come from monkeys. I don't know. I think it's probably easier to be in a scarce situation or something and actually end up becoming like a monkey or something than it would be for a monkey necessarily to go into a human or something. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, don't know. And yeah, I don't even necessarily monkeys and apes aren't even related. So it's very they're all called massively completely different things. Um, but yeah, I think all of these animals could be hugely related to us, and there could be a lot of missing elements and links which have been completely just eradicated. Pigs, dogs, horses, everything. All of these things could be quite heavily tied into common ancestors, which are predate us a long time ago. And even ourselves, we could have been actually created by something else, and just happened to, because we are so sentient and in control, we could have actually maybe overrided those forces and actually be the ones who are now running the world. So there's an interesting idea of, maybe the world hasn't, progressed to this, but maybe it's been like a lot of different things, and we are just an offshoot of many previous existences. All right, people, thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed that little segment, which I've called Satyrs, and it will be linking to a story of mine, which will be coming in the future, called The Seven Satyrs, okay, which is a whole interesting sort of science fiction story, okay. And the next video, which we'll be tying to now, is the world of six, which is the world we're in at the moment, and what it means to be in that world, and how do we get there, and what is it, okay. So let's get to that now. Hang on, wait, thanks. So, what? I didn't ruin that there. See you later. Thank you, bye.